Listen to me carefully, because what I am about to tell you has the power to change how you see yourself, how you walk, and how you show up in this world. There comes a moment in your life when heaven whispers something your heart can no longer ignore. You were not born to impress people. You were born to influence the world through purpose. And the tragedy of today's generation is this: people are working harder to be impressive than they are working to be impactful. We spend our time trying to be liked, trying to fit in, trying to be noticed, trying to be accepted, trying to be applauded. But hear me, God did not design you to be a copy. He designed you to be a calling. And the world doesn't need another imitation. The world needs a voice, a light, a trailblazer, a purpose carrier. Your value is not in how many people approve of you. Your value is in how many lives your purpose transforms. Let me tell you something powerful. When you live for people's approval, you die by their rejection. But when you live for God's purpose, you rise by His direction. Some of you right now are exhausted, not because you are working outside your purpose, but because you are performing outside your identity. You are tired because you are trying to impress people who do not even know their own purpose. You are seeking validation from people who are still searching for themselves. You are chasing applause from individuals who don't even applaud their own potential. You're trying to shine for people who live in their own darkness. And God is whispering, stop performing, start becoming. Because the world does not change when you impress it. The world changes when you impact it. Listen, the car you drive does not define you. The clothes you wear do not define you. The phone you hold does not define you. The likes, comments, compliments, applause, none of it defines you. What defines you is one thing: your God-given purpose. Purpose gives direction. Purpose gives meaning. Purpose gives identity. Purpose gives confidence. When you understand purpose, you no longer audition for acceptance. You operate from assignment. You stop saying, do they like me? And you start asking, am I doing what God created me to do? Yeah. You stop saying, are they impressed by me? And you start asking, am I fulfilling the mission heaven trusted me with? Some of you need to take your life back from the opinions of people. You need to take your mind back from the pressure to perform. You need to take your worth back from the hands of strangers. Hear me, you cannot impress your way into purpose. You can only obey your way into it. God didn't call you to be impressive. He called you to be intentional. He didn't call you to be popular. He called you to be powerful. He didn't call you to be accepted. He called you to be anointed. He didn't call you to be liked by everyone. He called you to be effective for someone. Because your assignment is not for the masses. Your assignment is for your generation, and your generation is waiting for you to stop performing and start activating. Let me tell you something that will set you free. You will never be enough for the wrong people. You will always be too much for small minds, but you will be perfect for your purpose. God did not create you for the world to clap for you. He created you for the world to change through you. Some of you are delayed not because God is slow, but because you are busy impressing the wrong audience. Purpose requires separation. Purpose requires clarity. Purpose requires discipline. Purpose requires courage. You cannot fulfill purpose and please people at the same time. One will demand your obedience. The other will demand your compromise. Choose wisely. Do you want applause that fades or purpose that lives forever? Do you want likes on a screen or legacy in the earth? Do you want validation from people or vision from God? This is your moment. This is your turning point. This is your awakening. Stop shrinking so people feel comfortable. Stop dimming your light so people don't feel insecure. Stop minimizing your gifts so others won't feel threatened. You were not born to blend in. You were born to build something. Let me remind you, you carry ideas inside you that can change families. You carry gifts that can elevate communities. You carry wisdom that can inspire nations. You carry purpose that can shake generations. But it won't come alive until you stop trying to impress and start choosing to impact. Stop performing for people who never clapped for you. Stop trying to earn acceptance God already gave you. Stop wasting destiny moments on temporary opinions. You are not random. You are not accidental. You are not a mistake. You are not ordinary. You are heaven designed. You are God assigned. You are purpose filled. You are destiny marked. And when you finally live from pure post, instead of purify and see, you become unstoppable because purpose gives you courage. Purpose gives you direction. Purpose gives you identity. Purpose gives you strength. Purpose gives you clarity. And purpose gives you something no applause can ever give: fulfillment. People can admire you today and ignore you tomorrow. But purpose keeps you standing. Purpose keeps you moving. Purpose makes you rise when life tries to break you. People can forget you, but purpose immortalizes you. Purpose makes you unforgettable to heaven and valuable to earth. So today, let this be your turning point. No more impressing, no more performing, no more proving, no more pretending. From this day forward, live the purpose God placed in you. Walk the assignment heaven trusted to you. Become the person you were born to be. Because the world doesn't need another performer. The world needs a person of purpose. Purpose is more important than popularity. Purpose is more important than popularity because popularity is a moment, but purpose is a lifetime. Popularity is applause. but purpose is assignment. Popularity makes noise, but purpose makes impact. Today, people are exhausted, not because they don't have potential, but because they're chasing the wrong reward. They are running after the sound of claps instead of the voice of calling. And hear me, nothing drains you faster than trying to impress people who don't even know who they are. Nothing empties your spirit faster than performing for an audience that changes every week. 1 minute they celebrate you, the next minute they forget you. 1 moment you're trending, the next moment they're scrolling past you. That's why you must choose purpose over popularity, because purpose doesn't disappear when attention shifts. Purpose doesn't fade when people stop clapping. Purpose is not seasonal. Purpose is eternal. Think about your own life. How many times have you changed yourself because you wanted someone to like you? How many times have you lowered your standards because you wanted to fit in? How many times have you silenced your own voice just to keep the peace? And what happened afterward? You felt empty. You felt drained. You felt disconnected from yourself. Why? Because you were created to live from purpose, not from pressure. You were created to fulfill destiny, not demand attention. Every time you choose people's approval over God's assignment, something inside you weakens. But every time you choose your purpose, your God-given identity, your calling, your mission, something inside you grows stronger. Let me give you an example. A young man spends years trying to impress his friends. He buys things he can't afford, goes places he doesn't enjoy, behaves in ways that don't match his values. Why? Because he wants to be accepted. He wants to look successful. He wants to be admired. But when he goes home at night, he feels empty. He feels like he is wearing a mask. Then one day he realizes something powerful. These people don't pay my bills. These people don't shape my future. These people don't define my destiny. So why am I letting them direct my life? And that day he stops performing and starts pursuing his purpose. He stops trying to be impressive and starts becoming impactful. And suddenly he feels alive again. That's what purpose does. Purpose awakens what popularity suffocates. Popularity is loud, but purpose is deep. Popularity is temporary, but purpose is timeless. Popularity is a crowd clapping for you. Purpose is heaven cheering for you. And the truth is, you cannot chase both. One will demand compromise. The other will demand courage. One will pull you toward imitation. The other will push you toward transformation. You cannot fulfill your purpose while trying to meet everyone's expectations. People's expectations will drain you dry, but God's purpose will fill you with strength you never knew you had. Look at your life right now. Think of the moments when you stood up for what was right. Think of the times you made decisions that didn't make sense to others, but felt right to your soul. Think of the days when you chose discipline over comfort, focus over distraction, growth over entertainment. Those moments didn't make you popular, but they made you powerful. They didn't get applause, but they built your character. They didn't trend online, but they transformed your destiny. Purpose doesn't always look shiny. Sometimes purpose looks like sacrifice. Sometimes purpose looks like walking alone. Sometimes purpose looks like shutting the door, turning off the noise, and working in silence. But those are the moments that shape you. Those are the moments that prepare you. Those are the moments that make you unstoppable. I want you to understand something very clearly. The people you're trying to impress today might not even be in your life 5 years from now. But the purpose you carry will walk with you for the rest of your life. The purpose inside you is older than your fears and stronger than your insecurities. God placed something in you that cannot be replaced, cannot be duplicated, cannot be copied. That's why you should never trade your purpose for popularity. Don't shrink so others feel comfortable. Don't dim your light so others won't feel insecure. Don't minimize your potential so others won't feel threatened. You were not created to blend in with those who lack vision. You were created to stand out in a world that's blinded by comparison. Life will always give you two paths, the path of applause and the path of assignment. The path of applause is crowded. It's noisy, it's exciting, it's addictive, but it leads nowhere. The path of assignment is quiet, it's narrow, it's challenging, but it leads to destiny. Choose the path that builds you, not the path that entertains others. Choose the path that grows you, not the path that drains you. Choose the path that aligns you with God's plan, not the path that distracts you with the world's approval. Every great person you admire had to choose purpose over popularity. They had to walk away from people who didn't understand their vision. They had to disappoint some expectations to honor their assignment. They had to go through seasons where they were overlooked, misunderstood, criticized, even mocked. But when purpose becomes your foundation, criticism cannot shake you. When assignment becomes your focus, distraction cannot stop you. When you anchor yourself in what God created you to do, you become unshakable, unbreakable, and unstoppable. So remember this: popularity is what people give you, but purpose is what God gives you. Popularity is a gift from the crowd, but purpose is a responsibility from heaven. Popularity is the noise around you, but purpose is the fire within you. And when that fire starts burning, nothing and no one can put it out. Your identity comes from God, not from opinions. Your identity comes from God, not from opinions, because opinions change with moods, but God's design on your life never shifts. People can like you today and dislike you tomorrow. They can cheer for you in the morning and criticize you by evening. They can call you talented one moment and irrelevant the next. But your identity was spoken by a God who does not change, a God who does not lie, a God who does not wake up one day and decide you're no longer valuable. When God says you are chosen, it doesn't matter who rejects you. When God says you are loved, it doesn't matter who ignores you. When God says you are called, it doesn't matter who doubts you. Opinions are unstable, but identity in God is unshakable. Many people today are living a life scripted by opinions rather than purpose. They adjust their personality depending on who they're with. They reshape their dreams depending on who's watching. They shift their direction depending on who approves. And every time they do that, they step further away from who God created them to be. Think about it. How many dreams have died because someone said, you're not good enough? How many gifts stayed hidden because someone said, that's impossible? How many destinies have been delayed because someone said, you'll never make it? If you live by opinions, you will live a life far smaller than the one God intended for you. Let me show you what this looks like in daily life. A young woman dreams of starting her own business. She feels it in her spirit. She knows she's built for more. But the moment she shares her dream, people say, that's too risky. You're not experienced enough. What if you fail? Suddenly she feels fear. Suddenly she feels uncertainty. Suddenly she begins doubting something she once believed in so strongly. Why? Because she allowed the opinions of others to mix with the identity God gave her. Those people didn't build the dream that was placed inside her. They didn't hear the whisper God placed in her heart. They don't see the potential He planted in her spirit. She is listening to voices that did not create her, voices that did not call her, voices that cannot define her. But the moment she realizes my identity comes from God, something inside her shifts. She stands up straighter. She speaks with confidence. She moves with clarity. She stops asking, do they believe in me? And starts declaring, God already does. And that shift changes everything. Another example, a young man grows up hearing people say, you're slow, you're not smart, you're a failure. Those words sink deep into his soul. So he walks with his head low. He never tries anything new. He hides his gifts because he believes he has none. But one day he hears a message that says, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are God's workmanship created for good works. Suddenly, his thinking cracks open. He begins asking, what if I'm not who they said I am? What if I'm who God says I am? He starts discovering abilities he never noticed. He starts seeing purpose in places he once overlooked. He starts rising above the words that once chained him. The same boy who was called failure becomes a man of impact, not because people changed their opinions, but because he changed the source of his identity. Your identity is not something people give you. It's something God placed in you before you were born. When He formed you, He placed strengths in you that no insult can erase. When He designed you, He placed greatness in you that no opinion can cancel. When He shaped your spirit, He planted destiny inside you that no human voice can override. People can comment, criticize, compare, complain, but they cannot cancel what God created. Life becomes heavy when you let every voice define you, but life becomes powerful when you silence opinions and listen only to God's truth. Imagine how free you'd feel if you stopped trying to measure up to people's expectations. Imagine how confident you'd be if you stopped letting others label you. Imagine how unstoppable you'd become if you believed what God says about you more than what people say about you. When you know your identity in God, you don't chase validation. You walk in conviction. You don't seek applause. You stand in assignment. You don't blend in. You step into purpose. Suddenly, the opinions that once shook you no longer touch you. The comments that once hurt you no longer break you. The people who once controlled you no longer influence you, because once you know who you are, nobody can tell you who you're not. And here's the truth: people will always talk. They will always form opinions. They will always judge based on their limited perspective. But their words are not your reflection. Their words are a reflection of their limitations. Your identity was spoken by the one who sees every part of you, your potential, your struggles, your destiny, your future. And He calls you chosen. He calls you loved. He calls you prepared. He calls you enough. He calls you His. When you root your identity in God, you stop living a life of reaction and start living a life of purpose. You become steady. You become bold. You become stable. You become the kind of person who can walk through storms without losing direction, the kind of person who can face criticism without losing confidence, the kind of person who can stand alone without feeling lonely because you stand with God. You cannot fulfill purpose while living to please people. You cannot fulfill purpose while living to please people, because purpose requires boldness, but people-pleasing demands compromise. Purpose calls you higher, but people-pleasing pulls you lower. Purpose asks, what did God design me to do? But people-pleasing asks, what do others want me to be? These two forces can never live in the same heart. One will silence your gift, and the other will activate it. One will shrink your destiny, and the other will stretch it. And every time you choose to please people, you step 1 mile further away from the assignment God placed inside you. In real life, you see this every day. Think about the student who wants to study science because he loves discovery, he loves experimentation, he feels alive when he learns. But his friends mock him. They say, bro, that's nerdy. Nobody does that. Come on, be like us. And instead of following the passion burning inside him, he follows the noise around him. He chooses acceptance over assignment. He chooses fitting in over becoming. Years later, he looks back and says, I never lived the life I was called to live. I lived the life others expected from me. That is the tragedy of people. Pleasing it kills destinies quietly. Think about the woman who has a dream to open a bakery. She has recipes, passion, skill, everything she needs. She can see it in her spirit. She feels it in her soul. But the moment she tells someone, they respond with, are you sure? What if it fails? What if people don't buy? Their doubts become her direction. Their fears become her foundation. She never opens the bakery, not because she lacked ability, because she lived to please voices that didn't even believe in themselves. People pleasing always keeps you outside the life God intended for you. People pleasing steals your time, your identity, your confidence, your energy. You wake up tired because you're living someone else's expectations. You walk around confused because you're carrying someone else's opinions. You feel empty because you're feeding everyone else while starving your own soul. You become everything for everyone but nothing for yourself. And you wonder why you're exhausted. It's because you're performing instead of becoming. You're impressing instead of progressing. You're reacting to people instead of responding to purpose. Let me tell you something powerful. You were not created to be controlled by people's expectations. You were created to be guided by God's assignments. When you please people, you lose yourself. But when you pursue purpose, you find the strength you didn't know you had. You find clarity you didn't know existed. You find confidence that feels supernatural. You start walking differently, not because you're arrogant, but because you're aligned. You start talking differently, not because you're proud, but because you're purposeful. You stop shrinking. You stop apologizing. You stop dimming your light to make others comfortable. Because when you choose purpose, you realize something life-changing. Not everyone will understand your calling. Not everyone will support your decisions. Not everyone will cheer for your growth. And that's okay. Purpose does not require the approval of those who were never assigned to it. Some people won't clap for you. They won't support you. They won't believe in you. Not because you're wrong, but because you're stepping into a place they are afraid to enter. Your courage exposes their comfort. Your progress threatens their stagnation. Your obedience reminds them of their excuses. And instead of growing with you, they try to slow you down. This is why choosing to please people will always distract you from the path God designed. In daily life, this looks like ignoring your passion because you're afraid someone will laugh. It looks like staying in a job you hate because you don't want someone to question your decision. It looks like silencing your voice because you don't want to offend someone. It looks like shrinking your dream because someone else thinks it's unrealistic. And all the while, purpose waits quietly, patiently, hoping you will stop living for applause and start living for assignment. Look at anyone who achieved greatness. They all had to disappoint someone. They all had to say no to something. They all had to walk away from opinions that did not align with their calling. Their purpose became louder than people's expectations. Their vision became stronger than people's criticism. Their identity became clearer than people's judgments. They understood a powerful truth. You cannot walk into destiny while holding hands with everyone. You must choose. Choose focus over approval. Choose growth over comfort. Choose calling over convenience. Choose purpose over people. There will be moments when following your purpose makes you feel alone. There will be moments when no one understands your decisions. There will be moments when your path looks strange to others. But those are the moments that separate performers from leaders, imitators from originals, followers from pioneers. Purpose is not easy, but it is essential. It will demand strength, courage, patience, resilience, but it will give back a life of meaning, fulfillment, and divine direction. People-pleasing ties you to the ground. Purpose builds wings on your back. People-pleasing makes you dependent on applause. Purpose makes you dependent on God. People-pleasing fills you with fear. Purpose fills you with fire. And the day you choose purpose over people is the day your real life begins. Your true value is revealed in your assignment. Your true value is revealed in your assignment because value is not determined by how people see you, but by what God placed inside you. People often judge worth based on surface level appearances, your job title, your status, your income, your followers, your outward achievements. But heaven does not measure value the way the world does. God measures value by purpose. A tool is valuable when it is used for what it was created for. A seed is valuable when it grows into what it was designed to become. And a human being is valuable when they step into the assignment God placed in their soul. You do not discover your worth by comparing yourself to others. You discover your worth by fulfilling what God gave you to do. Think of a key. It may look ordinary, small, unimportant, but once you put that key into the door it was crafted for, suddenly its power is revealed. Suddenly, something locked becomes open, something closed becomes accessible, something impossible becomes possible. And nobody questions the worth of that key the moment it fulfills its assignment. In the same way, many people walk through life feeling ordinary because they have not yet stepped into the door they were designed to open. You don't feel valuable because you haven't walked into the place where your purpose reveals your strength. You don't feel special because you haven't activated the gift God buried in your spirit. But the moment you step into your assignment, the moment you operate in your calling, the moment you start doing what God built you to do, people will look at you and say, "Where was this version of you all this time?" You see this every day. A young man works a job he doesn't love. He's good at it, but he's not fulfilled. He's doing it because it pays the bills, not because it fuels his spirit. He feels average, invisible, replaceable. One day, he starts volunteering at a youth center, helping kids with life decisions and confidence. Suddenly, something inside him wakes up. People listen when he speaks. The room changes when he enters. Kids begin opening up to him, trusting him, looking up to him. He starts discovering a strength he didn't know he had, gift for guidance, leadership, and encouragement. And he realizes, this is what I was born to do. His paycheck didn't change. His title didn't change. His environment didn't change. But his assignment did. And his assignment revealed a value he never knew he carried. Another example, a quiet woman who never saw herself as talented. She feels overshadowed, unseen, overlooked. She used to staying behind the scenes. But one day, someone asked her to help organize an event, to plan, to coordinate, to bring things together. And she shines. Her attention to detail, her creativity, her calmness under pressure, it all comes alive. People suddenly say, "You're amazing at this. You're a natural leader." But the truth is, she wasn't lacking value all those years. Her value was simply hidden until she walked into the role God designed her for. Her assignment unlocked her identity. Her assignment awakened her worth. Her assignment revealed the greatness she never knew she had. This is why comparing yourself to others is one of the fastest ways to destroy your confidence. You're comparing your seed to someone else's harvest. You're comparing your beginning to someone else's middle. You're comparing your journey to someone else's assignment. You cannot be them, and they cannot be you. Their purpose is not your purpose. Their calling is not your calling. Their lane is not your lane. And your value cannot be measured by how well you perform in someone else's lane. A fish is not worthless because it cannot climb a tree. It is valuable because it can swim like nothing else. A bird is not useless because it cannot run fast. It is valuable because it can fly. Value shows up when you operate in what you were designed for. When you step outside of your assignment, you start feeling unqualified. You start feeling insecure. You start feeling insufficient. Not because you lack value, but because you're standing in a place that does not match your design. When a tool is used incorrectly, it breaks. When a purpose is ignored, it withers. When an assignment is abandoned, confidence dies. But when you step into what God created you for, everything inside you begins to rise. Strength rises, clarity rises, creativity rises, passion rises, identity rises. You begin to feel alive because you're finally aligned with the blueprint God wrote for your life. There is a version of you that only your assignment can unlock. There is a strength in you that only your purpose can reveal. There is a confidence in you that only obedience can activate. Some of you think you're average, not because you are, but because you're living outside the place where your extraordinary ability is needed. Some of you think you're not talented, not because you lack talent, but because you haven't given your gift the environment it needs to grow. Some of you think you're invisible, not because you have no light, but because you're shining in a room you were never assigned to. Your assignment is the place where your value becomes undeniable. It's where people see what God always saw. It's where your hidden strength becomes visible. It's where your quiet potential becomes loud impact. And the moment you operate in your assignment, the opinions that once crushed you no longer matter. The comparisons that once discouraged you no longer affect you. The doubts that once limited you no longer stop you. Because your assignment reveals what applause could never give you: identity, purpose, fulfillment, and true worth. And now, as we reach this final moment together, hear this with every part of your soul, because everything you've heard, everything you've felt, everything that has stirred inside your spirit has led you right here. There comes a point in every life when you must choose who you are going to live for. Not the world, not their applause, not their opinions, not their expectations, but the God who placed breath in your lungs and purpose in your bones. This is that moment. This is the turning point where ordinary ends and destiny begins. You have spent years trying to impress people who were never assigned to your future. You've carried the weight of opinions that were never meant for your shoulders. You've chased acceptance from people who don't even accept themselves. You've been shrinking, adjusting, bending, twisting, shaping yourself into something that pleased the crowd but starved your soul. But now you rise. Now you return to the person you were born to be. Now you reclaim the identity that heaven wrote for you, because there is a fire in you that was never meant to be hidden. There is a brilliance in you that was never meant to be dimmed. There is a greatness in you that has been waiting patiently, silently, for the moment you finally say, I choose purpose. Let this be the moment you stop chasing applause and start chasing assignment. Let this be the moment you stop needing validation and start living revelation. Let this be the moment you stop impressing people who don't matter and start serving the God who shaped your destiny. Every giant you face will bow when you step into purpose. Every limitation you believed in will crumble when you embrace who you truly are. Every fear that controlled you will dissolve when you remember that God did not create you to be ordinary. He created you to be impactful. And if you forget everything else, remember this: you were not born to fit in. You were born to stand out. You were not born to be accepted. You were born to be appointed. You were not born to seek approval. You were born to walk in assignment. You were not born to impress the world. You were born to influence it. Do not let temporary voices derail an eternal destiny. Do not let shallow opinions bury deep purpose. Do not let the world's noise drown out God's whisper. You were crafted with intention, designed with precision, and released into this world with divine strategy. Every gift you carry, every idea within you, every piece of potential that keeps you awake at night, it's not random, it's not accidental. It's a sign that heaven invested something extraordinary inside you. And when God invests in you, He expects you to multiply, to grow, to rise, to manifest everything He planted within you. You are not weak. You are not forgotten. You are not late. You are not behind. You are right on the edge of becoming everything you were designed to become. The world hasn't seen your best yet. Your story is still opening. Your purpose is still unfolding. Your strength is still awakening. And the moment you stop living to impress people and start living to fulfill purpose, you become unstoppable. People may doubt you, walk anyway. People may criticize you, grow anyway. People may misunderstand you, rise anyway. People may leave you, continue anyway. People may laugh at you, believe anyway. People may not support you, build anyway. Because destiny does not require an audience, it requires obedience. Impact does not require popularity, it requires purpose. And greatness does not require applause, it requires alignment. You are stepping into a season where the very things that once hurt you will become the reasons you soar. The opinions that once controlled you will no longer move you. The fears that once limited you will no longer define you. This is the season where you stop explaining yourself and start expressing your purpose, where you stop waiting for permission and start walking in conviction, where you stop following the crowd and start leading with clarity. So walk with your head high, walk with your spirit strong, walk with the confidence of someone who finally understands, I am who God says I am. I will do what God created me to do. I will fulfill the assignment placed on my life. And if the world asks who you are, let your purpose answer. Let your character answer. Let your discipline answer. Let your faith answer. Let your impact answer. Let your calling answer. Let your life become the loudest statement you ever make. Because at the end of it all, greatness is not found in those who impress the world. Greatness is found in those who fulfilled their purpose.